Indeed, I welcome you into the vibration and the theme of to see, to be, to live in serenity, which is often difficult when the vicissitudes of the world appear to be go up and down, seem to be very intense at times, and becomes kind of overwhelming to so many people that they feel that there's an onslaught. Oftentimes, they take it personally about what's happening in the world, and fear becomes normalized, and anxiety becomes normalized, and anxiousness becomes normalized, and a sense of separation from one's good becomes normalized. So you've entered into the Spirit of the living God under the aegis of the Agape International Spiritual Center, which is under the aegis of unconditional love, the power and the presence and the love of God, to be a joyful reminder that there is something within you that's greater than everything that is in the world. That there's a power and a presence and a love and a beauty and an intelligence that's within your field of consciousness that's bigger than anything in the world. That oftentimes individuals have been trained to see and to look for the evidence of negativity more than they've been trained to look for the evidence of joy and of harmony and of peace and infinite potential and infinite possibilities and infinite opportunities, which from a mystical point of view is correct, for the presence and the power and the love of God is everywhere, and from a quantum field reality point of view, it is real. There is only oneness everywhere. That's reality. However, individuals are only looking with, and participating in a small viewpoint of reality. Thus, they bring upon themselves worries that never happen. They bring upon themselves the condensation of thought forms that produce a lack and limitation in their life. They bring upon the onrush and the cascade of toxic chemicals that allow for the immune system to become tarnished and for the body temple to prematurely age. Not you, not here, not now. You are entering into the frequency of a divine celebration that's happening everywhere. And through your spiritual practice, you are inviting yourself to come into harmony with this celebration as a matter of course, for this is the course you are taking, the course of unlearning from the world and remembering what your soul has never forgotten, that you are inseparable from the presence, the power, and the love of God, to see, to be, to live in serenity. Serenity, and it's a deep sense of calm, as we were speaking about last week, a deep sense of calm and peace that comes from viewing life from a larger context of life. As I was speaking about in the way of meditation service this morning, that context is we're living and moving and having our beingness in the presence of God. We're not living and moving and having our beingness in the world of effects, the world of appearances. Through spiritual practice, through soulful affirmation, through affirmative prayer, through sacred meditation, through life visioning, through fellowshipping with high-minded, open-hearted individuals, we start to live vibrationally in a larger context of life. Our perception expands. The thought forms that move through that perception outpicture themselves as demonstrations of healings and wholeness and right action and safety and protection and well-being and harmonizing prosperity and opportunities and possibilities heretofore unseen, because the perception was just too small, because we were living in a context that was not big enough. So the calm and the peace come from a larger perspective, that we're living in a larger context that allows us to lean into the awareness of everything is all right, everything's going to be all right. And that's a lot better than living in the context of, oh my God, I got the worst case scenario. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't happen. Please don't let it happen. I don't want it to happen. Please don't let it happen. I don't want it to happen. Please don't let it happen. And then you're constantly regurgitating and reliving the very things you don't want to happen. And even if they don't happen in the physical, your body temple does not know the difference, and it produces a cascade of toxic chemicals. Even if what you are imagining with the misuse of your imagination doesn't actually happen in the physical, the body temple is still reacting to it and aging faster than it is supposed to. Not here, not now. Then you come to an understanding through spiritual practice. Mind you, everything is about practice. Through spiritual practice of meditation, you come to an understanding that peace, as I love to teach, is a dynamic of harmonizing good that emerges from a sense of oneness with the presence. The demarcation, the sense of separation dissolves with every insight, every revelation, every deep knowing that this presence is closer than your breathing and nearer than your hands and feet. It becomes a reality, not merely a concept, not a hypothesis, see, not a theory, not something that you just memorize over and over again, not something you just theorize, but something that you practice until it becomes so embedded in your awareness that you're able to walk in the vicissitudes of the world, but be of a higher frequency, so that the lower frequencies can't touch you. The only way they could touch you is they start to vibrate higher, because you're living in a different vibrational world, so that safety and well-being and abundance and infinite opportunities is where you're living, so you can be in the world and not of it. So then you begin to understand what a killjoy is. The topic, of course, being be in the joy. And let me give you a little understanding of that first. First of all, as I just said, you're living in a larger context. You're living, moving, and having your being in joy. Joy is not only intrinsic, it's a dimension of you, it's a part of you, but you're also living in it, because the joy of God is everywhere. For those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, it's everywhere. And so as you're doing this spiritual practice and having insights, as I have been just saying, you begin to understand what a killjoy is. You know, there are some people that walk into a room and the joy is just sucked out of the room. It just dampens the room. And you begin to understand that a killjoy is not really a person. A killjoy are thought forms, error thought forms, that are hiding in individuals' consciousness. The thought forms of malice, the thought forms of rivalry, the thought forms of jealousy, the thought forms of envy, and all kinds of nastiness. Now, when these thought forms are active in other people, they create a dampening field. They become a killjoy. That consciousness becomes a killjoy. Now, when you understand that it's not a person, but it is an error in thought, and you depersonalize it, so that when you see it happening, you don't go into an inner frequency of hating the person, but you become aware that there's a thought form that's active in that person: nastiness, jealousy, malice, greed, envy, whatever the case may be. And when you start to see it as a thought form, and you're doing your spiritual practice, then you become not only a vibrational clearinghouse to it, but it doesn't touch you anymore. In other words, a killjoy can't steal your particular joy, because you're not giving power to a person. You are aware that it is a thought form that has no power. Just as you can watch the news and you see all of the lies being told on the news, and all of the things that go against spiritual principle, all the things that deny oneness, all the things that deny infinite beauty, all the things that deny infinite abundance, all the things that deny a oneness with the presence of God. Just as you can, after a while, watch the news and say, oh, that's a lie, that goes against principle, that's not the truth, that goes against universal law, oh, that's the misuse of the world imagination. You see, the same way that you can do that with the news, you can do that with individuals whose mind have been hijacked by thought forms of malice and greed, thought forms of jealousy and rivalry. You can begin to see, oh, that's a thought form. God bless you. You can do an old, without touching the individual, you can do a soulful exorcism of those particular thought forms by not taking it personally and beginning to see that individual has just been captured by an error And through your awareness, as the practitioners practice here, you can begin to see the possibility within that particular being. And then inwardly, secondly, I don't know what number I'm at. Let's just say that was number 1. Number 2, you begin to develop within yourself an empowerment soulful rant. Now, this comes directly from the travel that I just did over the weekend to and from Columbus, Ohio, participating in the Greatness Summit with Lewis Howes. And on the way to Columbus, Ohio, we're walking through the place where the frequent flyers or the pre-checked individuals get to walk through. And the gentleman that's checking, he says to Lee, she's going farther, something like, hey, boss, you're great. And he says to me, you're wonderful. And every person that he is checking their particular ticket, he's saying something empowering. You're great. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. He was having an empowerment rant. Now, can you imagine at the end of his day, his consciousness? The end of his day was not full of error. Oh, this is my job. I got hundreds of people trying to fly. I got to look at their hundreds of people ticket. Oh, my God, I wish my day's over. No, he's standing there. Hey, boss, you're great. Hey, boss, you're wonderful. You're magnificent. Now, that wasn't a part of his job description, but he made it his job description so that he was not picking up the error of people rushing to the plane, being worried whether they're going to be late. He's not picking up the error in people's consciousness. Oh, my God, I'm afraid to fly. He's not picking up the error consciousness of the haste and all the things that can happen in an airport in the course of a day. He was on he was on a verbal empowerment rant that allowed him, I bet you at the end of the day, he was full to overflowing with more energy than he started at the beginning of the day, because his real job was telling people who they were as they were about to go through security. I'm saying that you want to develop within yourself an empowerment rant so that everywhere you go, it may not be appropriate to say it out loud to somebody as you pass them on the street or wherever you are. It might be appropriate for you to say, you're wonderful, you're great, you're magnificent, you're beautiful. Oh, I see God all around you. You're healthy, you're whole. It might be appropriate, but even if it's not, inside you can begin to develop the habit. You know what he was doing? This is number 3. He was taking his assignment and making it a work of praise. I want you, I want me, I want us. Whatever act we're called to do in the course of the day, whatever our assignment is, make it an act of praise. Not just, I got to get this thing done. I got to get this done. I want to get this off my plate. I want to get it done. No. Make it an act of praise to the best of your ability. You'll fall sometimes. Sometimes you'll ride high on it. Sometimes you'll fall. Sometimes you ride high on it. Don't beat yourself up when you fall. But to the best of your ability, make it an act of praise, and then whatever you're called to do will become a work of art. It will not simply be, I just got to get this off my plate for the day. It will be, if I'm called to do this, it's got to be a work of art. It's got to be praising the Spirit through my thought, my word, and now through my action. So when you hear the topic of today, simply be in the joy. You're beginning with the awareness that you're living, moving, and having your beingness in the joy of being. Joy. Do not look for joy in the world. Do not look for joy out there. Stop, listen, and look. And I know you've heard in the past, stop, look, and listen. We're saying stop, come to a complete stop within your awareness. That can be meditation, that can be prayer, that can just be every now and then, just stopping, and then listen. And begin to hear the sweet murmurings of the Spirit. Hey, boss, you're great. You begin to hear the sweet murmuring of the Spirit. You are beloved, and who I'm well pleased. You begin to you hear the sweet murmurings of the Spirit. Perhaps it's your mom that has prayers for you from the other side, or your grandparents. You begin to hear the sweet murmurings of the Spirit. I'm with you always. Stop. Listen. And then look. Then look. And then as you look, after you have stopped and listened, you'll begin to see the evidence of that which is joy everywhere, and not just limited to joy. You begin to see the evidence of beauty. You begin to see the evidence of love. You begin to see the evidence of abundance and prosperity and generosity and compassion and kindness. You'll see the evidence. Stop. Come to a complete stop on a regular basis. Listen. And then look. And you begin to see, not just with your eyes, but you begin to see that which is real, and you understand the teachings of Jesus when he says, I've come to make those that can't see, those that are blind, see. But he said, I've also come to make those that see blind. People always want to know what that means. Well, it simply means that some people are so full of what they think they know through theory and opinion and points of view and theories and hypotheses that they're blind to reality because they're so full of themselves. He said, I've come to make those that see through that dark perspective, I make them blind. In other words, the light becomes so bright that they're temporarily blinded by new insights, you see. And then as we're living from stop, listen, and then look, we become available to something that is within us even before we know what it is sometimes, to begin to take over the activity of our awareness, to begin to take over our life. I'm thinking about that because as I was watching the Henleys and Akasha sang with Bob today, Akasha, her dad was very instrumental in my life. Many years ago, I was about 24 years old, and Lissa Sprinkles had taken me to his small church. Her father's name was Reverend Howard. And so when I saw her this morning up here about the singing, all this memory flooded back into my awareness, and I had as an adult, my first spiritual awakening. And I could see differently, I could hear differently. There was a tremendous movement of the Spirit upon me. Now, I had no thought of being a public person, being a practitioner, being a minister, being a spiritual teacher. Any of that was not even I just was trying to integrate what had happened to me. And so Lissa Sprinkles, practitioner emeritus, great being, great friend, said, I want to take you to this church. And I was saying, listen, I don't want to go to anybody's church. I left church a long time ago. I didn't want all that stuff. She said, no, I want you to, this is a friend of mine named Reverend Howard, please come. I said, okay. So at her request and forcing me, come on, you're going. We walk into Reverend Howard's church. He's already speaking. So we sit down, and he looks up and he says, Michael? Yeah? He said, the Spirit of God is all on you right now, and you have the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in your aura. You're going to birth a global ministry of love. And he started to describe this spiritual community. Now, I'm like 20, just turned 24 years old, and I'm like 23, 24, somewhere, and then I'm like, I'm not going to be nobody's minister. This guy's wrong. And I looked at Liz. I said, you told him my name, that I was coming. She said, honestly, I did not tell him you were coming. I did not tell him I was coming. He's just reading, because that's what he would do. He would read. And he said, you got the spirit of Dr. King in your aura, and you're gonna birth this community. And I sat down and I said, no, I'm not. No. He was right. I was wrong. The point being that when you begin to enter into a soulful connection of the love of God, and you begin to enter into the larger context, as I was saying earlier, and that the joy is intrinsic, the love is here, and you stop, and you listen, and then you look, there's things about you don't even know about yet that want to emerge. There's a destiny within you as a distinct unit of infinite potential that you don't even know about yet. Your mind may be hijacked by what the world wants you to be, what your parents want you to be, about what the society wants you to be. But there's something about you, straight from eternal, a destiny that wants to emerge that has nothing to do with the world. It has nothing to do with what you should be, but it has something to do with what you're meant to be. This presence specifically outpicturing itself as your very life and being. So I'm saying to see and to be, to live in serenity, means in substance that you're living from a larger context. Again, that's practice, that's meditation until it provides insight. It means that you're releasing a sense of peace from within you. The practice, meditation, until you become absolutely aware. You have insight into your oneness with the presence of God. And then you here today simply be in the joy that is the context by which you are living your life. It's intrinsic. You're not looking for joy out there. There are people who are thrill seekers and joy seekers and pleasure seekers and things of that particular nature, and they get excitement from the world. The only thing about excitement is what goes up comes down. But that which comes from enthusiasm, connection, entheos, never comes down. It has nothing to do with polarity. It has something to do with your oneness with God. You see? And then you hear, stop, listen, look. Whew. And then you'll be impervious to the killjoys, those that are containing error thought, separation, malice, rivalry, greed, nastiness of all kinds. You'll be able to see those thought forms, but they can't touch you because you're not personalizing them. And then you develop, as a soulful spiritual practice, a transformational rant, where whoever you see, hey, you're wonderful. Hey, you're great. Hey, you're magnificent. Hey, you're the image of God. Hey, 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 until that becomes habitual in your awareness. And then you give yourself permission to make what you're called to do an act of praise. Oh, I'm washing the dishes. I'm praising God. Whatever I'm called to do, it's an act of praise. Then, as Walter Russell reminds us, you begin to fall in love with what you have to do. The great mystic genius, Walter Russell, said, fall in love with what you have to do. Make it an act of praise. And if you add this, whatever you heard today, just a little bit of practice, tiny bit of practice, you'll have big results. Theories, memorization, hypothesis, beliefs can take you so far, but practice will set you free. And remember, as I said over the years, practice doesn't make perfect. It's the practice of perfection that makes perfect, because many people are practicing worry. They're practicing doubt. They're practicing cynicism. They're practicing unhealthy skepticism. There is something called healthy skepticism, and there's something called unhealthy skepticism where no new ideas can come in. Many people are practicing anxiousness and anxiety. We want you to practice a healthy transformational rant inside. We want you to practice. Every act is an act of praise. We want you to practice meditation. We want you to practice affirmative prayer. We want you to practice self-forgiveness. We want you to practice until that destiny that's within you that you may not even know about yet is unleashed. And if you set yourself on fire with the Spirit, everyone will come watch you burn. They'll come watch. Woo! Some of them will say, that boy is crazy. Some will say, woo! Whenever I get in her presence, whenever I get in his presence, I just feel better. I don't know why. It's called being a beneficial presence. That is your lot. You've tuned into agape to feel that vibration and frequency through the practitioner's affirmation and purpose statement and prayer, through the sacred music, through the silent meditation, through the message, through the global community standing in dynamic celebration of oneness with the presence that is never an absence. This is freedom. Woo! You remember Ecclesiastes? I should stop. I just heard Ecclesiastes that said, that which is has been, and that which is to be is happening now. In other words, there's a cyclical manifestation of that which we make present in our awareness. And then the last part of that statement says, give it all back to God. When you remember the traumas and dramas in your life, when you're strong enough to remember them, when they come up through spiritual practice, you give it to the Spirit, and you expand your awareness, and it's all transmuted. That's a whole other talk. Let me stop right here. I like this guy, Michael. Anyway, he makes me laugh. Anyway, stop this moment. Take a breath. Again, take a breath. Sustain it. Release. Breath. Sustain it. Feel the joy. Come to a complete stop. Listen to any affirmation that's moving through you right now. Release. And with your eyes open or closed, give yourself permission to be on the lookout for joy, the lookout for opportunities, the lookout for the presence of God. Just let that be a part of your frequency this week, and then watch as thou seest, so thou beest. Let's feel into this right now. Turn within with me. Turn within with me right now. That is, you have the power and the authority to extract your attention from the world right now, to extract your attention from the world of appearances. You have this as an authority, and you have this as a skill that you are developing. You can actually take your attention and you actually pull it away from the world of appearances. You can pull it away from even that which you would call your problems. You can pull your attention away from that now. And you can give thanks for your problems later. They're just a picturing of unresolved issues and that are giving you feedback as to what to work on. Again, another talk, another time. Pull your attention away and come here with me right now. Let's have a holy reckoning. Come within me right now. Come within your own consciousness with me right now. And feel a sense of gratitude and joy. You have the power to do this. You have the authority. You're giving yourself permission. Even though a part of your mind may be screaming out, oh my God, you've got this issue to deal with. You got this thing to deal with. You got that thing to deal with. Not to mention the thing that happened in the past that's bothering you. But in this moment, you're pulling your attention away from the world, worldly thought, issues, and you're moving into the field of gratitude. You can do this. You can be this. And in this consciousness of gratitude, you're seeing and being differently. I've come that those that are blind may see, but I've also come for those that see may be blind, those that are caught up in what they think they know. That's untrue, may be blinded by the light of reality. And in this moment of recognition, through high gratitude, we see the presence, the power, the love, the joy. It's everywhere. We're one with it. Our life is one. Our life is one. Our life is one with God. So simple, so profound. is so easily lost in the fray of the day. Our life is one with God. And it's from this consciousness of oneness that I have the privilege and the honor to speak the word for each and every one of us as distinct units of infinite potential, that we may be free today, that every organ, action, function of our being may be made every whit whole. The body temple, the mental body, the emotional body, the subtle bodies, the astral bodies, the causal bodies, all of the bodies are now under the vibrational authority of the celestial body. Our body of light now takes over all of our bodies. Healing and mending, rejuvenation, regeneration, renewal is the order of the day. Let us yield to this. That emotional body is pure now, becoming more and more purified. The mental body more and more clear. And now the body of our affairs, rooted in our oneness with the presence of God, we call forth divine order, divine harmony, divine peace, beauty, abundance. Oh, we are blind with superstition. I'm not good enough. I'll never happen for me. I've got bad luck. Where we are blind to reality, we now see infinite possibility within us right now. See it. I give thanks for this. I feel it. 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 It's a feeling universe. Feel it with me. Don't ask how to do this. Just give yourself permission to feel your way into the truth of your being. Woo! Help them feel it for a moment.
Yes. Oh, just feel it in your bones. If the path is clear and there's nothing to fear, all I must do is walk. If the way is straight and I've a key to the gate, all I must do is walk. Be in the joy and know if I have all I need, and I'm carried each step of the way. Oh yes, then there's no need to wait, to wonder or talk. All I have to do is walk. Everything is laid out for us now. Be in the joy. All I must do is walk. If His arms are around me, catching my fall, all I need do is lean. Yes, since she's shining her light through my soul so bright, I can know what my life really means. It's a moment of glory, so sweet and divine. All I must do is walk. Oh yes, pick up your feet and walk. Yes, Spirit is right here for you. Oh, we must do.
Let our prayers be in our feet. Let our prayers be in our mouth. Let our prayers be in our thought. Let our prayers be in our action. All we've got to do is walk our talk.